All other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors, me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. Thus, until I achieve Buddha, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Now, the fourth session Guru Yoga text, page 2 of that text. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, clear like Dharmakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, compassionate Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the four kayas. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, clear like Dharmakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, compassion and Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the four kayas. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. All Mother, sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, clear like Dharmakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, compassion and Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the four kayas. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. May all Mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all Mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all Mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. In the state of emptiness, the non-referential nature of all phenomena, on the seat of lotus, sun, moon, and corpse, one's mind as a brilliant red bomb turns into Vajra Yogini. Red complexion, radiating with empty bliss, wrathful in demeanor, with three eyes gazing towards the sky. Right hand with a Khatri, left holding a blood-filled Kapala. Her mouth is slightly open, tongue curled back and making the sound pem, and protruding from the right of her face is the face of a black sow. She is in the form of a 16-year-old with breasts swelling with bliss and adorned with ornaments and wearing garlands of flowers and hands. Joyfully her right hand holds aloft a Vajravarahi pointing towards the sky, and her left holds a blood-filled Kapala directly in front of her navel center. And held under her arm is glorious Heruka in the form of a Katanga, dancing with her left leg standing upright and right bent, arisen within swelling red lights of empty bliss. Up to this point, we have finished the self-creation as Vajravarahi. Then next is the other part of the creation stage, which is creation in front, and generating in front, the Guru field of refuge, starting on page 6 of the 4-session Guru Yoga PDF. Then above her head, in an expanse of 5-colored rainbow lights, on a jewel throne supported by lions, elephants, peacocks, and garudas, center of a lotus free from the faults of samsara, and on the sun and moon that eliminate the sufferings of cold and heat, the exalted mind of sovereign Vajradhara, with the 7 attributes, the totality of the exalted speech of the Dharma of emptiness, of the perfection of wisdom, the exalted body of the perfect Buddhas possessing the 10 powers, is Jig and Sungun, embodiment of the 3 jewels, Lord of the teachings, victorious Rinpoche, presence of the Dharmakaya, pleasing to those trainable, Sambhogakaya, blazing with the splendor of the major and minor marks, and Nirmanakaya, glowing with reddish white light. Lord of the teachings, wearing the 3 Dharma robes, a sleeveless shirt with the 7 noble riches, a meditation head symbolizing ceaseless empowerment, and a golden skirt of the complete 9 vehicles, right hand subduing the hordes of Maras, touching the ground, left in the mudra of the samadhi of immovable meditative equipoise. He sits in the Vajra posture, free from the extremes of samsara and nirvana. To his right and left are thrones, and on seats of lotus and moon are Avalokita in person. The Bodhisattva himself, Konchoratna, dressed as a bhikshu, holding a crystal mala and a stalk of lotus with his 2 hands. To the left is Chukidrakpa in the form of a bhikshu with the 3 robes, Manjushri Saraha in person, holding a vajra and bell, and attacks and sword on lotuses. Both of them are wearing the meditation hat, symbolizing changelessness. They are like reflections of the one moon dancing on many waters. They are accompanied by the 85 accomplished masters of India, and by an ocean of Gagyusiddhas of Tibet, gathered in the main and intermediate directions like immeasurable clouds. With Jah, the hook of faith draws in the wisdom beings from the expanse with whom they arrive as the support of joy and kindness for wandering beings. With Bum they abide as the joy of limitless compassion. With Ho they move with a smiling demeanor, taming and caring for wandering beings. With compassion, please stay here with delight for the sake of wandering beings. I respectfully pay homage with fierce and longing faith of the three types to you, the glorious Guru, Lord of the four Kayas. With my body, speech, and mind, I make offerings of all these established things, outer, inner, and other, the one who offers that which is offered, and the act of offering. Indivisible in essence, this being so, I make this offering of the great single taste free from elaborations. Grant me the accomplishment of effortlessness. I lay bare the impairments and breakings of the vows of the three vehicles and rejoice in your liberating deeds. Please turn the wheel of Dharma in accordance with the capacities of those to be trained, and remain here for as long as samsara has not been emptied. I dedicate the merit accumulated in the three times to the welfare of wandering beings. Maybe somebody, maybe Rene. Rene is always very good at providing us resources. But anyone, if you have the image that I shared on the DDIS WhatsApp group, maybe you can share on the chat for the Zoom. The image of the Guru refuge, the Guru field of refuge. I have reached out to my usual Tanka painter to paint a big Tanka according to this particular image with some slight modification. So in this image, right in the kind of the center is of course Gyöpa Jigten Sumgön, and then to his lower right and left is Koncho Ratna, or also known as Koncho Rinchen, and to the left is Bigong Dhamma Kirti, the first Kyabgon Chesang and the first Kyabgon Jungsang. So I think a couple of files have been shared. Not that one, Rene. Yeah, I think Jasper found the one that I was referring to. The first one that Rene shared, that is the general Gyöpa Jigten Sumgön in the center, surrounded by all the lineage masters. That tanka we have at urban dharma. 10, 15 years ago, when the center started, we commissioned that tanka, and some Dharma friends in Malaysia sponsored the painting of that tanka. And then the second image that Jasper then shared is the one that I'm talking about. A little bit more simple. It has been shared on the WhatsApp DDIS, maybe even last week or a couple of weeks back. This second image, I believe this particular tanka, or the print, a good quality print of this tanka, is available for sale, I believe, still at the Gardroma Center in Ohio. Gardroma Buddhist Center in Ohio. I think they have this tanka, a very good quality tanka print for sale, in case anyone cannot wait and would like to have. I supplicate you, the Dharmakaya, great Vajradhara of the sixth family. I supplicate you, the 85 Indian Mahasiddhas. I supplicate you, Dili Prajna Bhadra. I supplicate you, Naro Jnana Siddhi. I supplicate you, Marpa of Lodra, the translator. I supplicate you, Mila Shepa Dorje. I supplicate you, Dao Shunu of Dapo. I supplicate you, the three siddhas of Kam. I supplicate you, Dorje Gyalpo of Pagdu. I supplicate you, Jisim Dorje Pelda. I supplicate you, Supreme Refuge Jik Tensum Gun. I supplicate you, Lord Shri. I supplicate you, Kenjen Sutrim Dorje. I supplicate you, Onchen Sonam Dragpa. I supplicate you, Chenga Dragpa Jungne. I supplicate you, Chung O Dorje Dragpa. I supplicate you, Toka Rinchen Senge. I supplicate you, Samche Dragpa Sonam. I supplicate you, Chuni Dorje Rinchen. I supplicate you, Nirni Chuki Gyalpo. I supplicate you, Shenyan Tondru Gyalpo. I supplicate you, Rinchen Pelgi Gyaltsen. I supplicate you, Chogyal Rinchen Pelzang. I supplicate you, Rigzim Chuki Gyatso. I supplicate you, Yawang Kunga Rinchen. Supplicate you, Jisim Rinchen Puncho. I supplicate you, Rinchen Nambar Gyawa. I supplicate you, Benjen Belgi Gyaltsem. I supplicate you, Gyawa. I supplicate you, Tsongme Chugyao Punso. I supplicate you, Jubchen Tashi Punso. I supplicate you, Jason Goncho Rinchen. I supplicate you, Rigzin Chuki Dragpa. I supplicate you, Goncho Trinle Namjia. I supplicate you, Goncho Trinle Sangpo. I supplicate you, Trinle Dondru Chogyao. I supplicate you, Goncho Tenzin Rodu. I supplicate you, Tenzin Chuki Nima. I supplicate you, Kyapta Peme Gyaltsen. I supplicate you, Jamyang Chuki Gyaltsen. I supplicate you, Ruwang Chuki Gyaltsen. Vengeant and Bez again, I supplicate you, Gyawang Tujeni Ma, I supplicate you, Rigzin Nuden Dorje, I supplicate you, Jason Chuki Lord. You Gyaucho Shive Lord, I supplicate you, Jason Dharmakara. I supplicate you, Trisap Tenzin Tukten. I supplicate you, the Dang Pukaju, protectors of wandering beings. I supplicate you, my kind rune Guru. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the rarity of the freedoms and endowments, I still squander away my life. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on impermanence and death, I still fixate on composite phenomena as permanent. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the unmistaken nature of cause and effect, I still pervert what to adopt and what to abandon. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the sufferings of cyclic existence, I still take the way to the lower realms. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I safeguard the vows of individual liberation, I still lack renunciation and the determination to be free. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on all wandering beings as my parents, I still have biased attachment to friends and aversion for enemies. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate loving kindness and compassion, I still hold on to envy and enmity. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate aspiration and action bodhicitta, I still focus only on my own welfare. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on my body as I still cling to ordinary perception. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I have counted the mantras to be recited, I still waste away my life force. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate the samadhi of moon in the water, I still solidify things as real and substantial. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I conclude by dissolving in the subsequent stage, I still purify and confess superficially. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on my own mind as free from elaborations, I still have conceptual attitudes. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate not grasping at whatever arises, I still affix an artificial watchfulness. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on resting freely in the natural state, I still amplify artificialities. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on unity beyond conceptions, I still get carried away by the masses of likes and dislikes. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane. I supplicate you, who are my refuge and protector in this and all other lives, physician who removes the chronic diseases of samsara. Hero who vanquishes the enemies that are afflictive emotions, sun which expels the darkness of ignorance, moon that protects from the heat of suffering, jewel which fulfills all our needs and desires. You, Guru, who are all-inclusive and all-sufficient, I supplicate you from the depths of my heart. With compassion, swiftly heed me, effortlessly bestow your blessings. Grant me now and on this seat the naturally accomplished feast of the two beneficed. I am endowed with both merit and devotion. Do not leave my hopes unfulfilled. Don't cast away my devotion in vain. Don't let my supplications vanish unanswered. Don't be indifferent with your compassion, refuge and protector in this life, in the intermediate state and beyond, whatever occurs, joy or sorrow, good or bad. Only you are my hope. Look upon me with eyes of compassion. You alone are my hope. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jig and Sumgan. I supplicate you, compassionate Garvan Konchorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyutu Dharma Kirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jig and Sumgan. I supplicate you, compassionate Garvan Konchorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, you true Dhammakirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jig and Sumgon. I supplicate you, compassionate Garvang Kunchorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, you true Dhammakirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jig and Sumgan. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwan Konchorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyutun Dharma Kirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jig and Sumgan. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwan Konchorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyutrun Dhamma Kirti, I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jig and Sumga. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Gonjoran. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyutur Dhamma Kirti, I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jig and Sumga. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Gonchorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Kyutu Dharma Kirti. From this life onward until awakening is reached, other than the three of you, you victors, fathers and sons, I have no other hope. Don't lose your compassion and give up on me, as there are none like you. Kings, you victors, father and sons, you are all that I need. My only hope and reliance, I supplicate you with fierce and strong devotion. From the utmost depths of my heart, without delay or indifference, look upon me with your eyes of primordial wisdom. After this life, while I am in the intermediate state, draw me out with your hook of primordial wisdom and compassion. These next few pages, we can now read silently. Now page 41. Thus are these three victors, father and sons, the gathering and embodiment of the ocean of Kagyu, gurus and siddhas and all yidams, dakinis and dharmapalas with wisdom, knowledge, loving compassion, exalted activities and protective powers. By your blessings, bless me and all sentient beings, so that our minds turn to the Dharma. Bless us so that the Dharma turns into the Dharma. Bless us so that the Dharma enters the path. Bless us so that the path clears confusion. Bless us so that confusion dawns as wisdom. Bless us so that our karmic and afflictive obscurations and our cognitive obscurations and habitual obscurations are cleared now. Bless us so that they are cleared on this seat. Bless us so that they are cleared in this session. Bless us so that our mind streams are cleansed. Bless us so that our mind streams are fully liberated. Bless us so that we are liberated now. Bless us so that we are liberated on this seat. Bless us so that we are liberated in this session. Bless us so that the Supreme Samadhi arises unmistakably in our mind streams. Bless us so that it arises now. Bless us so that it arises on this seat. Bless us so that it arises in this session. Bless us so that the unmistaken supreme primordial wisdom arises in our mind streams. Bless us so that it arises now. Bless us so that it arises on this seat. Bless us so that it arises in this session. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your forehead center, white lights emanate, dissolving into my forehead immediately, fully cleansing my body and my waking state of their obscurations, and planting the seed for the Nirmana Kaya, the exalted body Vajra, the Guru's exalted body and my body are inseparable. This is the indestructible appearances, emptiness, Kaya Siddhi. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your throat center, red lights emanate, dissolving into my throat immediately, fully cleansing my speech and my dream state of their obscurations, and planting the seed for the Sambhogakaya, the exalted speech, Vajra. The Guru's exalted speech and my speech are inseparable. This is the indestructible sound emptiness, Vaka Siddhi. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your heart center blue lights emanate, dissolving into my heart immediately, fully cleansing my mind and my deep sleep state of their obscurations, and planting the seed for the Dharmakaya. The exalted heart Vajra, the Guru's exalted heart and my mind are inseparable. This is the indestructible clarity, emptiness, Chitta Siddhi. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your navel center golden lights emanate, dissolving into my navel immediately, fully cleansing my equipoise mind in the moment of transition of their obscurations. Having ripened the Swabhavika Kaya, the three primordial wisdom Vajras, and my body, speech, and mind are inseparable. This is the indestructible bliss, emptiness, Sarva Siddhi. Here the retinue dissolves like breath on a mirror disappearing. The glorious Guru's exalted body dissolves and furthermore turns into beautiful masses of five-colored lights resplendent like 100,000 suns. These lights dissolve into oneself. Immediately you are blazing in various colors of light. Bright lights and rainbows fill the 3,000-fold universes. This is the indivisible unity of clarity and emptiness, just as it is primordially free from elaborations. The great middle way, seal and perfection. Don't be confused by names, their meanings are identical. The indivisible unity of primordial wisdom. Evam Maya Alalaho. By the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. So now, briefly continuing in our learning more about this practice. So we are now looking at the very beginning of the deity yoga as found in this 4-session Guru Yoga practice. And so the 2 stages of deity yoga is the creation and the completion stages. So yesterday, I briefly talked about how to relate creation and completion stages to the 2 accumulations, and also how the creation and completion stages are the direct causes for the attainment of what's known as Rupakaya. And Rupakaya includes Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya. And then the creations stage, the completion stage, is the direct cause for the arising of Dharmakaya. So then we can also think of how these 2 kayas, Rupakaya and Dharmakaya, the creation and completion stages, how in a way you could say the creation stage is blessed by or by the force of relative bodhicitta. Then we practice creation stage. Then by the force of ultimate bodhicitta, our commitment to ultimate bodhicitta, then we practice the completion stage. The beginning of the completion stage, which we will look at in more detail, it's at the end when we're receiving the 4 empowerments. That's the beginning of the completion stages. And also traditionally, for cultivating the completion stage, there isn't a lot of words used at all, because it's not a practice based on words per se. So majority then of this sadhana pertains to the creation stage. And then within holding the creation stage is the Guru Yoga practice. So we talked about that yesterday too. And we have looked at, how in particular Kyopa Jigten Sungden explains what are the preliminaries and why are the preliminaries, the so-called preliminaries, important. Again, the point that I want to make, everybody says preliminaries are important. For Kyopa Jigten Sungden, they are important in a very unique way, that insight. So I hope you understand what that very unique understanding of why preliminaries are important. So again, as a reminder, why preliminaries are important? Because, in fact, the whole goal, the whole path, the whole purpose of everything else is to actualize what we say in the preliminaries. So in that sense, the so-called preliminaries is what we are striving to achieve. to attain. Then, to summarize, what are in the preliminaries? At the heart of the preliminaries is bodhicitta. Bodhicitta in its two aspects. So, creation stage begins first from at least momentarily recalling the meaning of emptiness. The meaning of emptiness. So here in our fourth session Guru Yoga text, it says, in the state of emptiness. Then to define a little bit more, to say a little bit more, what is the state of emptiness? It's the non-referential nature of all phenomena. So you could say the state of emptiness and the non-referential nature of all phenomena, they are synonyms. They are synonyms. Then yesterday also we talked about how this understanding of in the state of emptiness. So Tongpe Ngang in Tibetan, Tongpe is emptiness, Ngang the state. In this state of emptiness, in this state of emptiness. So all the rest of that creation stage is occurring within this state of emptiness, not out of emptiness, as if emptiness is something that you can come out of and go somewhere else. But no, all of this is happening within. So an analogy used for emptiness, a constant, frequent favorite analogy for emptiness is space. This, not like, out there discovering space, with a spaceship. Space is an analogy. This space is an analogy, a metaphor often used to hint to us, what is this emptiness? In the commentary, in one of the notes, or rather notes for the practicing of this important Vajravarahi or Vajrayogini sadhana called the Ocean of Great Secret, Sanchen Gyatso. The author of that sadhana, Khenpo Chokyap, one of the great retreat masters in the Drigung, in the recent history of Drigung. Recent, I mean, within the last couple of 100 years. So in there, Khenpo Chokyap quotes this one tantra called the Supreme Bliss of the Illusory Dakini. And there it says, yogins, meaning practitioners, do not transform themselves into paintings and cast statues. Or rather, yogins, practitioners, should not transform themselves into paintings and cast statues. So deity yoga is not turning yourself into like a painting or a statue. And that point, I think is really important, but not so easily understood, because a lot of times, I think, frankly, when we first learn about deity yoga and when we first practice deity yoga, we do kind of try to turn into paintings or cast statues. In so many ways, we think, even though, like kind of logically, intellectually, you're like, no, that's not possible. But the way we go about doing it, it's like we try to turn ourselves into what's a painting or a statue. So here, the reminder, practitioners do not transform themselves into paintings and cast statues. practitioners, yogins, turn themselves into deities. Through, so this quote continues, practitioners transform into deities through great perseverance in bodhicitta. The meaning of that is, let your bodhicitta turn into the deity. Let your bodhicitta turn into deity. So bodhicitta gives rise, takes the form of the deity. So in the systems of the five-fold path of Mahamudra, which you all should not forget, this five-fold path, because it's the very distinctive Drigungkagyu way, which Jigten Sumgön particularly was given this way of practicing Mahamudra by his teacher, Pamudrupa. There are various different approaches to practicing Mahamudra. And Pamudrupa in particular gave Jigten Sumgön this approach that brings together the five key elements. The first element is bodhicitta. Then the second element is yidam. So in the sequencing of first bodhicitta, then yidam, then guru yoga, then Mahamudra, then dedication, as in natural state Mahamudra, and then dedication. These five, you can see these five elements in this Guru Yoga text. You begin with bodhicitta, then you arise as the yidam, Vajravarahi. Then you train in Guru devotion, which is at the heart of this practice. Then with the Guru devotion, you train in Mahamudra, which is what we would call completion stage. And then dedication at the end, fifth. So anyway, coming back to this, so the arising of the deity in the creation stage, how effectively, how convincingly this deity can arise depends on how firm, how clear, how stable we are in cultivating bodhicitta. So that's one way of relating to the connection between bodhicitta and deity practice. Then also, we have looked at how it is not this body of flesh and blood that turns into deity, but rather our deluded mind that grasps at this body of blood and bones and flesh. Our deluded mind that fixates on this body. That mind is the mind that is being transformed into the appearance of a deity. So that ordinary, that mundane mind, that confused mind that fixate on this body, and how does it fixate on this body? It fixates on this body. It fixates on these aggregates in order to give rise, and give rise to I. So it's that fixation, it's that confusion, it's that confused mind, it's that fixating mind that is being transformed in the creation stage so that it becomes deity. So cut off that fixation, cut off that confused mind, through the cultivating of the mind, training in identifying with Vajravarahi. That's how we cut off that delude, that confused mind, that grasp at this as I, and sometimes grasp at this as me, and sometimes grasp at this as mine. And so that it's that deluded mind, that confused mind, that is being transformed. You can think of it as being transformed, or cut, or purified, and different words used, different verbs used, that is appropriate at different times. Sometimes we think of it as cutting. Sometimes we think of it as purifying. Sometimes we think of it as transforming. And sometimes we think of it as realizing. So don't rigidly hold on to one. See that at different times, it might be more appropriate, more needed that we train in terms of thinking, I need to cut that grasping mind, or I need to transform that grasping mind, or I need to purify, like clear away that confused mind. So within this emptiness, which is also to say, it's not that hard, this creation stage. Where it becomes hard is when the nature of phenomena is not realized. When we don't understand the nature of phenomena to be emptiness, to be non-referential, and non-referential means, ultimately subject and object are interdependently arising temporary phenomena, and they have no basis for existing permanently, existing substantially. So without departing from, without forgetting, without straying from this understanding, this stable understanding of emptiness, then allow, then now, on a seat, on a support that begins with a lotus, sun, moon, red disc, white disc, and a corpse. And so that's starting the description of the iconography, the characteristics of Varahi. So first a lotus, then a sun disk, then a moon disk, then a corpse. The corpse often described as yellowish in its complexion. Meditating on this lotus is said to purify birth through the womb, because the lotus is a symbolic form of wombs. So in the Abhidharma tradition, there are discussions of like 4 possible ways to be born in cyclic existence. There is the born from womb, born from egg, born from moisture, warmth and moisture, and miracle birth, or birth without needing any physical support. So like the gods and the hell realms and the hungry ghost realm, they are spontaneously born. So maybe miracle is not a good word, and they spontaneously appear. Then there are beings that appear from warmth and moisture. Then there are beings that are born. They develop within an egg and fully develop within an egg and then crack open the egg. Then there is womb, which is humans and many other animals are womb born. So this lotus is to be understood as a means of purifying the womb birth. Sun and moon are the symbolic representations of the purified aspects, the purified nature of the reproductive elements that come from the mother, sun, and the father, moon. And so the sun and moon sits inside this lotus. And so by that, we are purifying ordinary womb birth and conception and birth. Then corpse symbolizes this confused grasping. So next line says, one's mind as a brilliant red bum. So then you can see this red bum syllable sitting on this four-layered seat, lotus, sun, moon, corpse. Then quickly this red bum transforms into Vajrayogini. Vajrayogini is red in complexion and radiating with empty bliss, happiness, bliss and happiness, but without substantiality, without fixation. She's wrathful in demeanor, with three eyes gazing towards the sky. So 1, 2, the usual, and then this center one, third, sometimes called the third eye. And here briefly mentioning that her right hand, she holds this hook knife called Katri, and left, she's holding a skull cup, Kapala, and the cranium, turned into a cup that is filled with blood. Her mouth is slightly open. In some texts where more details are given, it says that you can see that she has fangs. When she smiles, she kind of reveals her fangs. 2 pointing down, 2 pointing up. Tongue curled back and making the sound pem. Then protruding from the right of her face is the face of a black sow. So sometimes her form having these two faces, the main human face, face of a woman, with a black sow face protruding on the right. Sometimes she is then referred to as the two faces of reality. The two faces of reality. Whereby the main face is said to be the face of relative truth, and the Black Sao is the face of ultimate truth. So this is relative and ultimate truth, relative and ultimate realities. One, no contradiction, inseparable. She's in the form of a 16-year-old, so this connotes youthfulness, with breasts swelling with bliss. This expression, and pointing out that, she has these breasts, swelling with bliss. In original context, long time ago in India, part of this is sort of deliberately, I would say, causing some scandal. But please don't go about causing scandals in your life, okay? We don't have the wisdom and the ability to handle scandal. So don't cause scandals. But the symbolism, historically, it's a way to kind of, you might even say a way to kind of shake people up a little bit. Because up until these kinds of practices were made public, especially like Buddhist monastics, monks and nuns, you're supposed to live a life where you have practiced restraint, especially with regards to desire, sexual desire. And so, and at that time, there were way more monks than nuns. And so the symbolism of a 16-year-old, meaning a young, as in youthful, full of life, full of energy, and breast swelling with bliss. But at the same time, this symbolism is also saying that Vajravarahi is full of life-giving properties. Except that with the gaze of confused men, right? The breast is like sexualized. But we are talking about life-giving properties. So a baby, don't look at those breasts and have, these funny ideas that lead to, problems. For a baby, right? This is nourishment. This is safety. Right? So in a way, this deliberate use of this kind of symbolism is to kind of shake things up a little bit. But then again, at our level, don't be so eager to shake things up, okay? You may not have the ability. Especially don't go shake things up for other people. You train yourself first, and adorned with the 5 bone ornaments and wearing garlands of flowers and heads. You cannot help but notice like the contrasting symbolism, On the one hand, right, full of life and vigor, and that's the meaning of 16-year-old with, breasts swelling with bliss, right? Full of life and vigor, but adorned with 5 bone ornaments. So she wears a skirt weaved together by bones. And bone earrings. Which ordinarily the bones are a symbol of death. So here life and death are seen and worn as ornaments. Meaning Varahi, has no problems whether it's life or death and everything in between. Right now we want life, we don't want death. We want youthfulness, we don't want old age. Yeah, just the wrong pillow, can cause, this is the burden of this body, which is what right now I'm. So we however fancy philosophy we have, some you see directly, how we want this, we don't want that, But if you have realized Varahi's nature, if you embody Varahi's nature, I'm not saying that, physical pain and discomfort from the natural progression or degeneration of the body doesn't happen, but when it happens, we can remember this Varahi nature and said, she not only is 16-year-old, she also wears bone ornaments. She not only wears garlands of flowers, she also wears garlands of heads. So, life and death. She is boss, the mistress of both life and death. She's dancing. Joyfully, her right hand, now, more details on that hook knife, holds aloft like this, pointing towards the sky. Cutting, cutting space. Sky, space, same word. She's using this katri, this hook knife, which is a symbol of wisdom, the wisdom of emptiness. So she's cutting space, as in symbolically, right? Wisdom cutting emptiness. In a way, you could say there's nothing to cut. Ultimately, there's nothing to cut. But on the relative realm, for the benefit of beings caught up in the dream, in the dreams of the relative world, she holds aloft the katri and cuts in the sky, and pointing towards the sky. That means like cutting sky, cutting space. Then that kapala, that skull cup filled with blood, she holds in front of her navel center. So this is a little, just to point out, lower than usually how it's painted and depicted. Usually it's further up, like more towards the heart center, but in this sadhana, it says she's holding it more to her navel. And holding it more to her navel, at least here, is reminding us to let our mind or focus go down to this area called the secret chakra area, which is, in terms of the physical body, starting from the belly button to the bottom of like your fourth finger. So the length, this area, this much area between the top is your belly button and the bottom is at the bottom end of your, so around that area, Let your mind, let your awareness focus to sink down, because that's the center of gravity too for our bodies. So it's a way to stabilize our mind and to let life energies, gather there and protected there, so that it's not being wasted outwards, being cultivated there. Anyway, she holds this kapala there, around that area. The symbolism of blood is, again, blood is what life depends on. And why she has blood in the kapala is that confused existence is fueled by the blood that is poisoned. But now she has cut and drained that blood out, and it has instead become the nectar of primordial wisdom. Then held under her arm is glorious Heruka, Jakasambhara, appearing in the form of the staff, the Katwanga. Then dancing with her left leg standing upright and right bent upwards. Her two legs are in a dancing posture. And she is within swelling red lights of empty bliss. So she's radiating this red light from her red complexion. So this is a very brief description. We know from elsewhere, also how part of her long hair is tied up in the top knot. Then the other parts are, sometimes described as flowing. But in some other texts, it says, her hair is all flying and loose upwards. That's the more common. Varahi's hair is all like flaming upwards. And again, historical context might be, because in Indian culture, right, a woman's hair is sort of the symbol of her wildness. So in Indian culture, hair that is not properly combed, women's hair that are not properly combed and tied, then they say the woman is wild, out of control, unseemly. But Varahi's hair is like that. So again, we're not talking about ordinary wildness. This is saying, she's not caught up in ordinary ideas. She breaks through that already. So briefly, this is the how she looks, how she appears. Any questions or comments regarding this? Maybe not much. Yes.
When we say that she is dancing, like the dance posture, it's mind numbing for me. It's like she's dancing, but she's not moving. Or
well, how do you paint? How do you have a painting move unless you're in Harry Potter? that what you see in the painting and the statues is to to give the connotation that she's dancing. So, that quote from the Tantra, yogis, practitioners do not turn themselves into statues and paintings. Statues and paintings is just to illustrate. But even that, don't get carried away. You're not making a movie. I mean, you could, but the purpose of meditating on these things is to cut what? To cut the fixation on this body and the I that arises from fixating on this body, this person.
But it could be said there's a sort of movement.
No, there is. How else do you dance? How else would you dance if there's no movement?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that the symbol of the corpse is like
This corpse.
of the corpse that she's standing
Yes,
on.
this corpse. Yes.
It's like a symbol of confused grasping.
Yes, then arising of I.
Could you say then that, like, using or becoming the deity form is like using grasping?
No, she's trampling on. What do you mean?
I guess like you were saying, sometimes we could say cut off. Sometimes we could say some other words for what happens when we
Using what to cut?
that form instead of like
What form?
the deity form.
Yes.
Instead of the forms that we're used to just by habit.
Yes.
So could you say that you're like using grasping?
How?
Because you're pointing it at that instead of
Pointing at what?
the like the visualized form.
And why would you want to say is grasping?
I don't know. I was just wondering if
Words.
term you could use.
Words, lead to more words.
Yeah.
Don't really care what words you use.
Adding to the symbolism of the corpse, is that supposed to be like myself?
What self?
Like the appearance I might think I am, or something like that?
Grasping. The I that arises from grasping. So don't grasp. Whether corpse or sexy body, don't grasp. All of this description, yeah, lightly, 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 not heavily, lightly, lightly. Don't grasp. Don't fixate. So, okay, very good. Questions help us clarify. Every time one person asks that question, guarantee more than one person is thinking those thoughts. So we will stop here today. We will meet again tomorrow. Thursday we will not meet. Friday we will meet again. Also, those of you participating in Drigong Dhamma Kirti on Wednesday night, we are also not meeting this week. No Drigong Dhamma Kirti this week. And then those of you who happen to be listening on Facebook who are around this area, just also a reminder, no open Sangha this Thursday either. Changchu Sem Choren Poche Mage Banam Gyegyuche Gyebanyam Pame Bayam Gone Gongdu Belwan Shum.
May I ask you something?
Yeah.
This whole and all the symbolism,
This whole what?
this whole body of the deity with the symbols, all of those symbols are really pointing to the cutting of grasping and the lack of fixation, and the fact that she has done that can result in bodhicitta, which is her form, representative of bodhicitta. Is that the big picture?
If you like it that way, sure.
Makes sense to me like that. But that's not wrong to think of it like that.
It's not wrong, but there are so many aspects, you know.
But yeah.
Each of her characteristics is working on what some there's gross levels, there's subtle levels, and you know, if you get into more details, you know, they talk about she's within a mandala, within a palace. This palace have 5 walls, layers of these walls. And each wall has a different color. And then even like, you know, distance between the door and the deity, not in actual feet, but in proportion, you know, between the deity and the first layer of walls and second. And so all those details, you know, in a way you can say it's about bodhicitta. Well, that's the big picture, but there are other things going on.
Is it about the
Never mind what it is about.
but is it the ability of someone to realize these things? It has to do with never mind. That's okay.
Yes, thinking too much.
Babbling.
Once I get it all figured out, then
in the spirit of asking things that maybe other people are thinking too, can I ask one more question?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a sense of whose skull the skull cup is made from? Or nothing like that?
Whose do you want it to be?
Don't know.
Yeah, then you can go ask. If the skull cup contains wisdom blood, whose skull is that? Ta-ta!
Thank you. See you
Thank
tomorrow.
you. Thank you. Hasta mañana. Bye.
You.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Lau.
you, Dr.